What's going on, world? It's your favorite author, Maurice, and I am here for another review of episode 2 of Welcome to Derry. All right, so let's just jump right into it like they do on the show. Okay, so if you if you didn't catch the episode 1 or the end of it, don't worry, because episode 2 is going to start right there. So we started right back in the movie theater, okay? We are now seeing everything from Lily's POV. So it's in the theater. We're not leaving it we're not going back to Ronnie or Soren outside. We just see Teddy get ripped up. We see Phil get tossed, or did we? I don't know what we saw with Phil now, but we'll talk about that in a second. And then we see Susie get snatched up again, or her hand get eaten, or the rest of her body be eaten. Whatever happened that day, we seen it again this time. This time around, though, after we see them all get handled, we see it pans back to Lily. So Lily's waking up from a nightmare, and we see that whatever's happened, she's still dealing with it, obviously, and this did take place. After the nightmare, we go ahead and we jump into an intro. So we have an intro now, guys, okay? I watched the episode about 3 or 4 times, so I've heard the intro about 3 or 4 times. I didn't like it the first time, but I was fresh off of work when I watched it the first time, so I might have just been tired. I watched it again late at night when I was kind of more awake, and it was like, okay. Watched it again, and it was like, all right, I guess it's growing on me now. But I didn't like the theme song for Peacemaker Season 2 when that first started, and now I love it. It's on my phone and everything. So, hey, it might just take some time. It might grow on me by episode 6 or 7. But either way, all right. So we pan back after Lily wakes up, after we see that Lily's had the nightmare. And now we are with these 2 cops who are sitting outside of Ronnie's crib. Now, Ronnie is the daughter of Hank. You know, Hank is the movie theater owner where the kids got killed. Ronnie is the daughter of the young girl who was there with them. So her name's Veronica. We call her Ronnie. All right. Anyway, so we see the cops talking. And basically, they let us know that they're going to pin this on Hank. All right. They believe that Hank did it, but they don't have any proof. But either way, they feel like the families deserve justice, so they got to blame it on Hank. That's just what they're going to do with it. Heard it. Okay, cool. Black man got to take the fall. Ain't nothing new. So then we go inside Ronnie's crib. Now, I do have to say this. When we get inside Ronnie's crib, we meet Ronnie's grandmother, right? And when Ronnie's grandmother talked, it was spoke. I was like, okay. So I do have to point this out as a black viewer. I love the show, not taking anything from it. But what I will say is that it's like the writers weren't sure if they wanted to go full stereotype or not. Like 1 minute they speak very well English, and then the next minute it's told them ain't nobody been around since Andy Griffith. Told them, and it's like, well, where did we just go? What just happened here? But it's, I'm not, again, it doesn't take away from the show. It's just, as a black viewer, these are things that you recognize. So it's like, okay, all right, that was interesting. But either way, we meet a grandmother. She's the stern, feisty grandmother who has a lot of love to give, talks to Hank and is like basically telling him like, hey, the cops should be leaving you alone because I already told them that you good, basically. I gave them the alibi. They know what's up. They know where you were. Hank is like, they not trying to hear that. While him and his mom are speaking, Ronnie is in her room, and she can hear them talking about this. Then they move over to the discussion of it's time for Ronnie to go back to school. Hank says that he's not sure. He likes having his daughter around so he can see where she is after everything that's going on. Rightfully so. Like, kids just got killed at your movie theater. Yeah, more than likely you want your daughter around. And he's like, the cops is on me. So the cops is on my body, and somebody's taking out kids. Like, I don't really think it's best I have my daughter outside. And her grandmother's basically like, listen, she got to go back to school. Like, I hear what you're saying, but it's time for her to go back where her head held high. Now, nor will we know. No, it's not, Grandma. But, hey, she's talking from a point of view of, listen, we can't hide forever. She got to go back to school at some point, She goes back to school. So that's the discussion. Now, while they're talking, Hank can see that Ronnie is listening from her room. He can see her, and he calls her out to tell her to come outside. And he lets her know, like, basically, look, I think it's time that she go back to school. Ronnie don't care about none of that. Ronnie's main thing is, I just heard you say that the cops is trying to pin something on you that I know you didn't do. And she brought them to that movie theater, which is something the grandmother pointed out. She said Ronnie should have never brought them kids to that movie theater. And her dad had her back, like, they was looking for Maddie. They was just trying to find Maddie. And we know what happened to Maddie. So, that's the whole situation there. Meaning that she told him what happened. She was honest with her parents, with her dad. Long story short, they cry. Ronnie cries. Her dad says, everything's going to be all right. Don't worry about it. Keep a pin in that. So we pan over. Now we're going to another home. Now we're at Leroy's home. Leroy Hanlon. He is the black soldier from episode 1. I will not be introducing no more people now because this is episode 2. So, well, actually, no. We're going to introduce his family. So Leroy Hanlon, he's sitting on his porch. Nice suburban home. And you can see it. It's beautiful. Then a car pulls up. And a woman comes out and a son with a little boy. Comes to find out this is Charlotte, his wife, and Will, his son. They look like the all-American black family, or the all-American family. The wife, the son, the husband, they're all in this beautiful suburban home. They're all dressed up. It looks very 60s, 50s, everything you could possibly have wanted back then, quote unquote. So yeah, you see that they get to know each other. We get to know them fairly quickly. We see that Charlotte's a loving wife. We see that Will is a very intelligent young man. Will goes in the crib, and we see, what's that man's name? Leroy and Charlotte, his wife, standing outside, having a little moment together when they see, what would you call it? Their neighbor walk by, or one of the neighbors. One of the neighbors walk by walking a dog. It's a white woman, and she looks over at them, and she looks awkward. Like, she definitely looks awkward at them. And you're unsure if if it's black, you know what it is. But you're unsure if it's like, is this a ism kind of thing, or is it that she's just not used to seeing black people in her neighborhood? Or is she worried? Or is it just a Derry thing? Because, Derry is weird like that. But it's like, we don't know. But we know what it is. Either way, we get to go back in the house, and we see that Will is in his new room with a new telescope that his dad bought for him. He's excited about the telescope, and we see here that it was basically Charlotte's idea for Will to get the telescope, because according to Will, the last gift he got was a tie. Okay, so he goes ahead. He's enamored by the telescope. Him and his dad have a few jokes. It's cool. We see that, though, that Charlotte is a bit uneasy, but we're not sure what about, but she is still a bit uneasy about things. Okay, from there, we pan over to the school. Now, this is where we run into Margie. Margie is Lily's best friend. If you saw me in episode 1, you know I don't like this little girl, all right? I don't like Margie at all. Shout out to the actress who plays her. I don't have no problem with you. But Margie, I do not like. So we see Margie is out here. They're at the school, and Margie heads over to the group of popular girls that from episode 1 that she wanted to be down with Brandy so bad. She goes over to them, and they are trying to, coerce this one girl to tell them who she likes. One of the girls in their groups. She tells them she ain't trying to tell them because they gonna laugh at her. She tells them, they laugh at her. Oh, yeah, whatever. Mean girl stuff. I'm going to be referring to these girls as mean girl characters because that's what I know. So the Regina George character is there, and then Margie pulls up, and she's just trying to be down with them, listening, and then Regina George starts making fun of the girl for who she likes. The Gretchen girl next to her also laughs with her. They're making fun of this girl together, and then Margie comes doing the most, and she starts making jokes and getting laughs. When she starts getting the laughs, the Gretchen girl, she starts laughing too much. Regina George don't like that, and she shuts it all down. All right. That's the dynamic. You see it now. It's 4 of them, including Margie, and there's one in charge. Margie gets laughs. Regina George don't like that. So then they look over and they see that Ronnie is back at school. Ronnie's here at school, and they're like immediately gossiping. What's she doing here? I bet she know where the bodies are, all that kind of stuff. Now, it's all good when just gossip until Margie sees Ronnie go over and talk to Lily. Now, when she goes to talk to Lily, you see it on Ronnie's face. She's not on Margie's face. She's not feeling none of that, okay? And we don't know what they're talking about, but we do know they were in the theater together, so I'm sure they're talking about something. So from there, they're talking, and Margie's looking over, and she does not have good intentions. So we swing back to the classroom, and while we in the classroom, we see Lily. Lily is sitting there looking anxious like she always does, or at least since episode 1. Rightfully so. Baby girl been through a lot already. So she's sitting there looking all stressed out, and we see Margie is sitting next to her, but they're not talking. Not like friends would be in the classroom. So Margie leans over and starts talking to Lily. Now, all of a sudden, they can talk. So she's like, hey, what's up? And we learn here that they have not spoken since everything happened in the theater that night, which is kind of crazy because when we met Margie, we thought she was Lily's best friend, and your best friend would normally check on you. Apparently, that's not the case here with Margie, but she's nobody's friend, as I'm going to always mention anytime she comes up. So either way, she starts talking to Lily, and her and Lily are like having a brief, small, just, little short, small talk. And then Margie talks about what she really wants to talk about. She tells her, yo, I'm going to need you to not be hanging out with Ronnie, okay? I'm trying to get you down with the patty cakes, you feel me? Like, we ganged up. I let them know about you, you feel me? They said come to orientation. It's going to be love and all that other stuff. And it was like, nah, like, I'm not trying to hear that. And Margie's like, yo, you could come sit with us at the lunch table and we can all be together and all that other kind of stuff. And Lily is basically like, hey, yo, Teddy, Phil, and Susie is all dead. I don't want to hear nothing about no patty cakes. Leave me alone. So that's the end of that. Margie is like upset because her friend is gone. And Lily's just kind of like, yo, this just shorty is weird. She's mad weird. Like, she don't even realize. Like, she has no type of, she does not know how to read the room at all. That is Margie's problem. You can see that early. She cannot read the room. So anyway, we see that that's the end of them. We pan back to the front of the classroom while the teacher is teaching. And then Will comes in. Will comes into the classroom. Now, when Will gets in there, we can see that he's late. We can see that he's disheveled a little bit, like he ran there or something like that. The teacher is like, basically she tries to throw a shot at him and he has a witty comeback, but it really is innocent. It's not really a comeback. It's just a witty, innocent comeback where he's very intelligent. So he says something that kind of gets her off her game, and she tells him to go sit down. So as he's going to sit down, automatically, the whole classroom full of the sea of white faces all turn looking at him. And it just does not look safe for our boy Will there. We're looking and it's just like, okay, any minute now. All right, there ain't no ropes in here, right? Because you just can't trust them. So we watching and he goes and he gets ready to go to his seat. As he gets ready to sit down, one of the kids behind him moves his chair. So they move his chair and Will falls on the ground. The whole class is laughing at him. Teacher does nothing about it, by the way. She was very upset about him being late. Like, she had all the discipline in the world. But when that boy pulled that chair behind him and he fell and hit the ground, there was no discipline whatsoever behind that. She didn't care. So that's letting us know early what it's going to be. He meets his other character there. We're going to meet him later. But that's mainly that. From there, we pan over to, we see the Colonel is there with Leroy, Will's dad. So Will's dad, Leroy, he's in there with the Colonel, basically, and they are the Colonel or the General, whichever one. What was it? The Colonel? Yeah, it was the Colonel. The Colonel basically tells Leroy, hey, we found the culprit of the guys who jumped you last week. Now, I skipped it because I didn't care nothing about that in the beginning. I wanted to see the clown, and I didn't get the clown. But what happened last week, if you ain't see it, they came in his room and ran down on him late at night, all right? So basically, this episode, the Colonel is like, hey, we found the guys who did it. It was the guy Masters who was initially rude to you in the beginning, and we got him locked up and all that other stuff. Leroy is like, okay, he's happy to hear that. He's good to know. Glad we got him. But before he leaves, he asks, he says, what was the type of, he verifies the type of gun that they pulled on him that night. And they verify that this is the type of gun that was pulled on him. And he makes it clear, like, okay. And we're not sure why, but that does come back later. So right after that, we pan over to Charlotte. Now, Charlotte is out in the city. She's walking around. We see she's getting to know it. She's just getting her bearings in this new town that she's in, because they just moved there and she hasn't had a chance to really gather what Derry is about. But we seen when she was in the house, she had an uncomfortable feeling. As she walks through Derry, she sees, just what it's like. It's very much traditional 50s, 60s household. Well, we're in the 60s now. So traditional 60s living, small town, lots of white faces, not too many that look like her. But it doesn't seem like people are, weirded out by her or anything like that. It just seems like they're in their small town setting. As she's walking, though, she does a car does drive by screaming obscenities, but actually they not going at her. They're throwing eggs at a billboard or a sign of Paul Bunyan. I don't know who Paul Bunyan is, and I'm sorry if I should know who that is, but I don't know who he is. So yeah, they're taking down his statue. She goes into this butcher shop. See, she's going to get some meats. It's already a woman in there. It's real. The woman is very. It just lets you know it's very small town, very conservative in how they operate and think about things. She talks to the butcher. The butcher's very nice to her. Charlotte and the butcher have a good little interaction. 1, 2. He welcomes her to Derry. Like basically, I know everybody here, so I'm glad to see a new face, new variety. While they have that conversation, Charlotte turns and she looks outside and she sees these 3 boys. They got to be about this age of her son, about 12 years old, running after this one boy. Now they running down on him in the streets, like they are beating him up on the corner. Now this is outside broad daylight. Everybody can see this. Nobody is stopping it. So Charlotte's thing is, yo, why is no one doing anything? Why is this just happening? And the butcher tells her, he's like, look, boys will be boys, man. You know how that go. And she like, what? She run outside, run across the street in the middle of cars and all that other stuff. And then she go and she stopped them from beating on that boy. So she stopped them. She definitely saved the little boy from getting beat up for a second. But when she pulled that boy off, he did not look scared of her. He didn't look like, yo, you're an adult and I'm wilding. He looked like, yo, you got one more time to roll up on me. And next we rolling up on you. That was the energy he gave her back. So the boy that they were beating up gets up. He runs away. The boys run after him. And Charlotte is left sitting in the middle of the street. Now, she's standing there in the middle of the street, and everybody's walking by looking at her. But they're looking at her as if she just did something wrong. Like, she just got crazy. And you really can't. And it's another one of those situations where you can't tell if it's the ism or if it's just Derry. Okay, because one thing we do know about Derry, if you've read any of the books or you've seen any of the movies, the adults do not get involved. That is not their business. That is not what they're there for. They are there to just be older people, not get involved in children's business, apparently. Okay, so we pan back. Now we are in the house. We're in the house with Charlotte, Leroy, and Willie. And Will. Now, they've each all had their interactions. Will had his moment in school where they pulled the seat out. Leroy just found out that they found the guys who ran down on him the other night, which he did not tell his wife about, by the way. And then we see Charlotte just have her moment in the streets with those people. So Charlotte is in there, like, basically going over what happened. Like, she's not having it, and she don't like how they handled it. She don't like how any of those people sat back and just let it go down the way that they did. So she's basically saying like, yo, I don't like that. That's how they moved in this town. So she asks Will, she like, yo, did something like that happen to you? Now, while she's going off on her spiel about what happened today, you can see Will and Leroy kind of looking at each other, kind of like, we know, people were rude. You didn't like it. That whole bit, like, so she's basically like asking Will, she's like, yo, did anything like that happen to you today? And he don't even really want to say too much because he's like, look, I'm really not trying to get embarrassed at school. And she's like, what's embarrassing about somebody standing up for you? And then Leroy jump in like, hey, yo, after what happened at Shreveport, like, I thought you would just want to lay low, like, chill. So we don't know what happened in Shreveport, but something happened, and she need to calm down based off what they saying. We don't know, but we don't know. They start having, how parents have those little silent arguments with each other where they're saying things, where they're saying other things, but they're very light with it. It's not very outright disrespect. It's not disrespect or anything like that. We'll ask them to stop arguing, and they do this little cute bit where they say the same thing at the same time, like over and over and over. So then Will asks, can he go upstairs? Charlotte is like, look, I'm just trying to get to know how your first day was. He asked to go upstairs. Leroy let him go. They have their little conversation. Leroy and Charlotte have a discussion where she's basically like, look, I just want to know how the first day was from school. And then they kind of go back and forth, and she's like, yo, why you coming at me? And he like, yo, I had a hard day at work. And then this is where we learn that he has those hard days at work, but because of what it is, he can't talk about it. So he tells her, like, I can't talk about that. And she, as a disappointed wife, just goes, I understand. Which is something I'm sure military families experience all the time, where they have someone who's gone through some hard things and they can't talk about it because of, military protocols and things of that nature. After that family dinner, we pan over to Ronnie's crib. Now, Ronnie is on the other side of town. She's not in the suburbs, as we talked about earlier. But we hear her grandmother and her father talking, and they're just discussing all the different things going on. Obviously, it's a lot going on with the police and the movie theater and him being blamed. So Ronnie's in her bed, and she's trying to ignore it. She's trying to just go to sleep and ignore it. And we see that she looks over at a picture of a woman in a wedding dress. The picture is by her bed, which, if you're watching, we can only assume is her mother. She puts the sheet over her head to help her go to sleep. I guess maybe she won't hear them if she puts the blanket over her head. So she puts the sheet over her head, and while she's under there, this is where things get weird. So she's under the sheet, and then she tries to take the sheet off. But as she tries to take the sheet off, she realizes she can't, because the sheet just moves and it's more sheet and it's more sheet. And you know that feeling when you're like stuck under the blanket or whatever and you can't breathe or it's hot under there. So imagine every time you tried, the blanket just kept moving or the sheet just kept moving and it would not let you out and that heat would not go away. But this is what we're watching Ronnie experiencing. She's trying to get from under the sheets and she can't. And it's infinite. So it just keeps going, keeps going. Next thing you know, you see that it starts turning red. Like everything starts turning red and then this fluid falls on her. So now it's not just her on her bed anymore. Now it's this fluid falling all over her. Amniotic fluid is what it looked like. Well, that's what it is. That's what we call it. She's in there and the water is just starting to rise up over her and it's covering her up to the point that she's now swimming. She's in her bed, mind you, but she's literally swimming because this red cut, and you see it like, oh, wow, she's in the stomach. Like you could tell she's in the womb now. So she's in there, she's swimming, she's trying to get out. She's swimming towards the entrance. She gets there and she sees an exit and she can breathe now. She starts fighting her way out and we see her fight through the skin. She's peeling through and then she rips herself out and she's born again in her bedroom. It's very weird. As she gets out, she lands on her floor, all this amniotic fluid all over her, and she has an umbilical cord attached to her. She flips over, she turns to see her mother in the wedding dress, in the bed, with the torn open womb, and she looks horrid. Her mom looks like it just looks really bad. From there, you can see her mom starts to talk to her. Her mom is like, you ripped me open, you killed me, just like you killed those kids, just like they're gonna kill your dad, all this other stuff. And Ronnie is on the floor freaking out, covered in the fluid, mind you, covered like she was just born, covered in that slimy stuff, freaking out. Her mom is saying these horrid things to her. Pennywise is digging into something extremely deep. I don't want to go too deep, but with the things that black women go through, mortality rates and things like that, that was just a crazy scene to watch. And then watch the child, because there are children who are people who mom passed when they gave birth to them, who live with that type of guilt. So to watch them play on it in the show was like, oh, y'all taking it there, huh? All right, you feel me? It's good. It's good TV. It's good TV. I was loving every second of it. I was like, yo, this is deep. This is very deep. It also felt a little bit like y'all taking it there. Like we going through a lot this episode. Wrongful. They pinning it on the father. They bullying Will. Really, just a lot happening at once for everybody. So back to Ronnie, who is on the ground looking at her deceased mom, blame her for killing her, and then telling her that her dad's gonna get taken. She killed it was just a lot for Ronnie at once. So then as she's laying there, the umbilical cord starts pulling her in, chomping, and now you see the womb. It has like 1,000 teeth in it, and it's not just this situation where she's being snatched in. It's dark. She's being pulled. Ronnie is like trying for her life. That little girl was fighting. They had her in that room fighting for her life to get through. She was trying so hard. Then you see the yellow eyes in the womb. Pennywise letting us know, because we've been waiting to see him, because I am still waiting to see him. But I understand Pennywise is not a clown, but the clown is who we know from them, and I want to see the clown. So that's neither here nor there. But either way, she is fighting, trying not to get snatched into the womb, and then she ends up ripping the umbilical cord. She starts swimming, crawling to get away from as far as she can in her room, and she goes and she sits in the corner, and then her mom turns into a monster. Her skin gets all zombified and whatnot, and then the big old monster jumps and runs towards her. Ronnie is in there screaming for dear life when finally her dad opens the door and he comes and he says, "What's going on? What's wrong?" And he doesn't see any of that stuff. She doesn't even see it anymore. When he comes into that room, it's nothing there. Only thing left for him, he hugs her, he loves her, and that's all he can do. And Ronnie's looking all freaked out because it's as if nothing happened and she just imagined all of that. So after we get away from Ronnie's trauma, where Pennywise is basically playing with her whole life, we pan over to the another black soldier who's not Leroy. His name is Dick. And I'm sorry, I'm going to be a child about this. And I try not to be, but I'm sorry. So yeah, I'm going to just call him. It don't even matter. Either way, he's in there with two other black soldiers and they're having a good time. They're in there drinking, talking, and they basically the other two ask Dick about basically what he was doing all day. And he says, I can't tell you guys. Super secret spy mission type stuff. They having a cool time in there talking. The point of this scene was basically to show that the chief of police was in that same bar with them. And these two guys roll up on the chief of police. Basically, I don't know if he's the chief of police. Whatever role this guy has, I believe he's the chief of police. Either way, they basically roll up on him and basically say, "Hey, yo, what's going on with pinning the death on those kids on Hank? Because the families deserve justice." And the chief of police is like, "Hey, yo, I'm trying to find something on them. I'm trying to find anything that says he did it." And they're like, "Hey, yo, ain't nobody asking you to find anything. We telling you what to do. Get that handled." And it's like, and then they like, yeah, because I would hate for next election season for somebody else to end up getting the spot because you couldn't handle your business. And that lets us know they about to pin this on Hank, basically for the same reason they do a lot of things. Politics as usual, okay? So then we go back, we get out of there. We see Dick, he's over there with his boys. They end up having to leave the bar for whatever reason. We can't never tell if it's race, if it's the ism or Derry, but we just gonna say it's the ism for this one. They go back to the base. One of the security there, I guess, on the base sees them all drunk and late. It's late at night, and then he's like, "Oh, y'all gonna get in trouble." Basically, when you say that, man, when you say Dick's name, it means something to them. And from there, they don't get in trouble. And you see that in a time where, it's very much the 60s where black people get in trouble for breathing. This man has a lot of pull and power, and he has special privileges. We don't know why he has special privileges yet, but we know he has them. All right. So next, we pan over and we're back at the school. Now, this time when we get to the school, we see Lily. She's sitting in the cafeteria, and Ronnie comes over to talk to her. Now, when Ronnie comes to talk to Lily, Ronnie is basically letting Lily know, like, "Hey, yo, it happened again. Like, it pulled up, basically." Because that's how they have to talk about these things in Derry for the kids. There's no real way to say this happened. You have to just say it. So Lily is like, "What happened? Talk to me." Her and Lily end up getting into discussion about it. While her and Lily are talking, it pans over to Margie with the rest of the mean girls. So Regina George and them, they see it and they like, "Hey, yo, I thought she was normal. What happened? Like, to Margie, she's like, "Yo, I thought you said that your girl Lily was normal. Like, what's up with her? Why she hanging out with Ronnie?" And then Margie, who's not a friend to anybody, let's be clear, she's not a friend to anybody, decides, "Oh, well, I don't know. Maybe they talking about the bodies or something like that." I don't know. She just starts making fun of Lily and Ronnie. She just, suck up as she is because she's nobody's friend. And they over there talking. Lily and Ronnie are talking. It's very deep over there. They are not talking about nothing light. Ronnie is basically like, "Hey, yo, they said they're going to take my dad away. So, she says Pennywise basically told her, they're going to take my dad away. So, did you tell the cops that you did not see my dad? Like, that my dad wasn't there?" And Ronnie asked Lily, "Did you tell the cops what you told me?" And Lily is like, nah, I just told him that your dad wasn't there. And Ronnie is like, nah, you told me a monster killed them. And Lily is like, yeah, but I just told Lily's like, yeah, listen, I basically just told them that your dad wasn't around. So that should be enough. Ronnie is like, that's not enough because they're still trying to use that. They're still trying to pin this on my dad. So I'm going to need you to say something. Lily is like, listen, if I go back and tell those people that I saw a monster kill those kids, they are going to send me away. Ronnie is like, if you don't say something, they're going to send my dad away. And now we stuck at an impasse because Lily is like, I'm not going back to jail. You're not sending me back to the strip club, Stevie. Like, she's not doing it, okay? Ronnie is like, yo, you're not letting my dad take the fall for something that we both know that he did not do. They are going back and forth, and Ronnie yells at the top of her lungs that you know this is some bullshit. And back in the day, I don't know how it worked in school now, but back in the day, you got in trouble for cussing. Cussing was like fighting almost. So we see the teacher pull the whole cafeteria turn and look at Ronnie because now Ronnie done cursed and everybody heard it. So now the teacher come over and she's like, you're coming with me. And now we know Ronnie is going to detention. We pan back. We still in the school, but we pan back. Now we in the hallway. So we're in the hallway with Will. Will is sitting on the floor eating his lunch. Now, I don't know what that's supposed to signify, but in my mind, it signifies that he just doesn't want to be around anybody or he's having trouble making friends. While he's sitting out there eating lunch, he sees another kid, and another kid makes a little joke with him, like, yo, basically, you can't sit there because I called that. And, you know, they joke. They have a small, brief moment. And we learn that his name is Rich. Now, while Rich and Will are talking, they have a small little moment of bonding. And we learn that Rich don't really have any friends either. And now I think I understand why Rich doesn't have friends. Because Rich has bad taste, all right, in people. Because while he's sitting there talking to Will, the mean girls, Regina George and them with Margie, they walk by and we see that Rich got a thing for Margie. And it's like, oh, look at the little puppy love. But we don't like Margie over here. Why, guys? Because Margie is a friend to no one. So since we know that about her, we don't like her. But, you know, we rooting for my son Rich to get his because shout out to him. We see Rich and Will talking. They have a little smart moment to let us know that Will is extremely intelligent. Like, Will is sitting there reading a science book in the middle of the hallway during lunch. He's very smart. We get it. That's what they're telling us. That's what we get. That's what we learn about Will. While Will is sitting there, Rich is like, yo, you might want to run because a student runs in the hallway and he tosses a stink bomb in there. So the whole hallway fills up with smoke. Will gets up. He starts running for his life. And as he's running for his life, he runs into the same teacher that he had earlier, the lady who was just mean to him for no reason. She sees him and she goes, you. Next thing you know, guess what? Now Will is in detention too. So after Will ends up going to detention, or we see that Will is running into his teacher and he's going to end up in detention, it pans over and we see Charlotte, Will's mom. And Charlotte is actually outside of a store. She goes inside the store and we see this store is owned by natives. Now, while they're going inside, when she goes inside the store, she sees the woman who owns it, or a woman at the front of the desk. I don't want to say she owns it because I don't know. But either way, she comes outside, not come outside. She comes to Charlotte and she speaks to her. Her and Charlotte have a brief little conversation where Charlotte basically says, hey, you guys sold my husband the telescope that my son has. And the woman's like, oh, yes, your husband, type stuff. Oh, he in the military, I could tell, blase, blase. Here's the most important part of that whole scene. She says, you have a son, right? And then Charlotte goes, yeah, around the age of 12. And the woman gives her, it's a second. It is a second long pause. And it is the most awkward second ever. But it says so much in that second when she says it. And then she just deflects and tells her about more stuff in the store. But when Charlotte tells that woman, yeah, I have a 12-year-old, you can see it on the woman's face. Get your son out of Derry is what that told me. And that's just because I've read the book, I've seen all the movies. So to me, it's like that's what somebody's saying to you, especially if you know the history with the natives and Derry and all that other stuff. But either way, that's the most important part of that scene. That basically she knew from jump, yo, your son needs to get up out of here. Now, we jump past that and we pan back and we are actually back in the school. This time we're in detention. We are with Ronnie and we are with Will. Ronnie and Will are the only two in detention too. So now look at It's not looking good for Derry, okay? You telling me the only two kids in detention are the black kids? You only got about four of them. And I'm only giving you two extra ones because I've only seen two. But you only got about four. And now you're telling me that the kids are in detention. All right, I'll let you have that one. But that's neither here nor there. Ronnie and Will are in detention, and I have to say, this is actually my favorite scene in the whole episode. They're in there, and Ronnie is on the other side of the room, and Will keeps apologizing, like, "Look, I know I stink. I'm sorry." Because remember, he was in the hallway when the stink bomb went off, and he didn't get up in time. He was like literally in all that smoke. So Ronnie and Will, they're like Ronnie's on the other side of the room. They start talking a little bit, and like she says, like, why would you let off a stink bomb on your second day? He's like, yo, I didn't actually do it. I just got accused. They accused me for it. They wrongfully accused me. Like, what's going on with her dad? And then he asked her, like, why you here? And she's like, oh, I was cursing. And he was like, did they accuse you too? And she was like, no, I'm guilty as hell. Like, I did that shit. It was all right, little Roddy. But either way, they have their little conversation back and forth. The two of them bond, and she sees that he's reading, and we learn that Will likes to read. And not only does Will like to read, he's very intelligent. He learns a lot about science. Science is his jam. So we already knew that Will was intelligent, but now we know that science is his jam. This is what it is. He tries to make the stink smell like maybe instead of saying I stink, these are the same chemicals that's in the air of Jupiter and Venus, so maybe I smell like stardust instead. And it's just cute. It's a cool little moment for them. And as somebody who grew up loving this series, not having no black people in it, to have two, and now it's like, oh my God, like it feels really cool. Although I'm probably I'm gonna name this probably get my people out of Derry because I don't want to see us in Derry knowing what they do out there, okay? But either way, the two have a bonding moment with each other, and then you see Ronnie go over towards the window while they're in the classroom. So she goes towards the window, and we see her face change. Will's like, yo, what's wrong? He goes up to the window with her, and then we see on the outside, Lily is being taken by the police. Now, we all know that Ronnie and Lily just had this little back and forth about what Lily is saying to the police. And Lily just basically told Ronnie, I'm not telling them what really happened because I am not trying to be sent back to Juniper Hills. Juniper Hills is the mental facility. This is the 60s. You do not want to go to a mental facility in the 60s. And the last thing you're going to get is mental help with your mental health in the 60s in a mental facility. Okay? So she sees she sees Lily being taken in with the police, and her face just wells up with tears because she already know Lily's about to go in there and get her dad sent to jail. Okay? So they go from there, and then we pan to the next scene. So we see here, we pan over to the police station. So now Lily is in the police station with the chief of police, the same guy that those guys ran up on earlier and was like, hey, yo, you need to pin this on Hank. So now we see that the plan is in motion. They brought Lily in, and while Lily is there, the chief is like, hey, look, I know you said you ain't seen him, you didn't see no Hank, but I got to tell you, your story sounding a little bit crazy. I want to believe you, but if you're telling me that Hank didn't do it, we only have you there. The only other person there is you. You're covered in blood. We know what you've been through. The whole city knows what you've been through. The pickle thing, and we'll get into that later. But everybody knows what you've been through, so, they're going to start to talk, and you just might want to be a little bit, careful. So I'm going to ask you again. And now Lily realizes that the cop is basically trying to get her to say that it's Hank. And if she doesn't, that's it. He's trying to get her to say that it's Hank. Then he goes, well, let's do this. I'll send you back to Juniper Hills. They'll do some tests, and they'll make sure that everything that you'll be able to see that nothing is actually that they have it wrong and Hank didn't actually do this. So Lily starts freaking out immediately because the whole point of this was that she does not want to go back to Juniper Hills. She can't go back to the strip club, Stevie. They can't send her back. So Lily starts crying. She's like, oh my God, no, please, I can't go back. I can't do it. Da, da, da. He's like, all right, so I do it better. I do you like this. Instead of asking you, was Hank there? I'll ask you, can you be positively sure that Hank wasn't there? Well, we don't know what she said in that room, but at the next scene, okay, that we pan to is in front of Ronnie's house. And guess what? The police are locking up Hank, Ronnie's dad. Whatever was said in that room between Lily and the cop led to Hank being arrested. Hank and the grandmother and Ronnie are screaming and crying for dear life. And then Hank goes ahead, he gets in the back of the car, he's telling his mother, yo, take care of my daughter. From there, Ronnie runs out. Ronnie runs up to Lily's crib and she banging on the door. She like, hey, yo, open up, open up. Lily's mom opened the door. She's like, what's this all about? And basically, Ronnie is like, yo, your daughter lied. She lied. And then Lily comes out and she's like, I didn't lie. They tricked me. And then when Lily's mom realizes what Ronnie's talking about, she tells her to go away. She slams the door, and Ronnie is yelling outside that crib. What did you do, Lily? What did you do? Calling her by full government and everything. And from there, we know the smoke is there because it's up between these two. So after we leave Lily's house and Ronnie letting it be known it's up for them two, we pan over to Leroy. Now, Leroy is back on the base, and he's heading over, and we see that he's going into the prison side of the base. So he goes down there, and he goes, and he sees Masters. Now, we remember Masters was the guy in episode 1 who didn't want to give him his respect, and this is who they say ran down on Leroy in episode 1 when they came to him late at night. Now, they're saying that Masters did it. It was him. Leroy goes to see Masters. Long story short, they end up talking, and Leroy learns in a minute. Leroy already had a feeling, but it's basically confirmed that Masters didn't do it. It wasn't Masters who was attacking him the night before. How he does it is by basically using the gun that he had and basically saying that you can't use it. Like, it takes a lot of skill to know how to cock this gun and use it. You don't have that. I know you don't. And when Masters tries it, Leroy sees, he does not. So Leroy goes back to the general and is like, hey, yo, y'all have an innocent man being held for that because he didn't do that. The general is like, are you sure? Because he admitted to it. And Leroy is like, nah, I'm telling you, he didn't do it. Like, I can vouch for the fact that I know that man did not do that. The general is like, okay, sure, whatever you say. And then the general basically reveals to him that it's a test. It was all a test. Now, when I watched it, I thought it was a test because I was like, it was just way too easy for them to break into a damn military base and just beat this man up like this. But they basically, the general lets him know that it was a test and they wanted to use Leroy's skills. Now, apparently, Leroy has a damaged amygdala. Sorry if I said that wrong. I probably said it all wrong. How we saying it? We'll figure it out later. Either way, it's damaged. Now, the part of it that's damaged in his brain is the part that gives out fear. So he doesn't experience fear, or maybe he does, but just not a lot of it. But that does make sense. As to the first episode, when they put the gun out on him, he wasn't scared. He didn't give up the information. That didn't bother him. And we learned that in this episode that because of that, they want to use that, and they want to see how far they want to use that in what they have going on. Now, Leroy is kind of like a little hesitant at first, like, I ain't trying to hear nothing about this test. But the general was like, hey, yo, give me 10 minutes of your time, and I promise you, bro, I promise you, you're going to be with what we talking about around here. So Leroy says, okay, and then they go from there. Now, once we get out of there, this is towards the end. Now we're getting towards the end. Things are about to get a little bit interesting. So we pan over to Lily. Lily is going to a supermarket. Now, when Lily gets into the supermarket, the owner of the supermarket speaks to her. You know, it's small town stuff, so you can see the owner of the supermarket. He speaks to her. Lily's going in, and then she's going shopping by herself. She's in there. She has her list, and she's just going through the aisles. Now, as she's going through the aisles, you start to see some of the aisles closing up behind her, but she doesn't see it. She keeps going. It's the guy on the register is talking the entire time, which is weird. Like, he never stops talking. Lily's walking through, and then you see a woman's face, like her jaw just cocked to the side, and then she puts on this weird smile. But Lily doesn't see it. So we, as the audience, we see the woman's switch up on her, and then like Lily keeps walking, and then you see this weird looking guy who Chris Hansen needs to check on, watching Lily from afar with a weird smile on his face, and then we're just going through these different aisles, and you see the people are like behind her, and she can't see any of it, but she's hearing voices telling her she should be locked up, all that other stuff. You're not sure if it's actually Pennywise or she's just feeling the guilt for sending Hank to jail, because she did do that. But either way, she's going through, and then she ends up in an aisle, a closed aisle, and the aisle is full of pickles. Now, shout out to SpongeBob. If you've seen, if you missed it, basically she was told that her father was found in pieces. The rumor is that her father was found in pieces in different jars of pickles. Okay, so she sees the different jars of pickles. The aisle is closed, so she can't even get out. She starts freaking out. She's looking around. She's like seeing it, and then she looks into one of the pickle jars, and then she sees her dad's face appear in the pickle jar. And then she says, "Dad," and he's like, "Yes, let me give you a kiss." And it's like weird. And the next thing you know, his body parts start appearing in different jars of pickles. It's just crazy. And then next thing she starts screaming. Then all of a sudden, all the jars of pickle fall on the floor around her. She goes in a corner. She's screaming. And then the head of her father, his face, his hands and his feet are all like going towards her. It's very weird. It's like this zombified pieces of her father's body start like crawling towards her to get her. And then one of the pickle jars come next to her, has a tongue, like it's her dad's tongue, and it wraps around her neck. And then she's screaming, and the little head thing is like crawling towards her, and she's screaming for dear life. And then next thing you know, she screams, and then the supermarket owner is like, "Lily, what's wrong with you?" And then you look and see nothing has happened. Nothing is wrong. She's just sitting in the middle of the store, screaming and yelling at nothing. Then we pan to the next scene. So the next scene is actually her and her mother driving to Juniper Hills. So after she sent an innocent man to jail, and she's a kid, I'm not, I understand, Lily. I'm not mad at you. I am mad at you, but I'm not mad at you. I understand. But after she sent that innocent black man to jail, she ends up having to go to Juniper Hills anyway. And her mom takes her. She's like, "Mom, please, I don't want to go." When she opens the car door, it's these two doctors sitting there with a weird, crooked smile on their face. And we see that Lily, even though she lied to the police to get Hank locked up, she still ends up in Juniper Hills. After that, we pan to the base. Yes, so we pan over to the base, and we see Dick is there with his well, actually, they're all there. The general's there. It's nighttime. It's raining hard. It's a lot going on there. And in the midst of that, they are on the base digging where they were digging earlier. So I might have skipped that part. But yes, they're digging in Derry for something. And they are looking to Dick to find out what they are digging for. So Dick has some special ability where whatever it is that's going on with him, they are following what he tells them, and they've been doing it for 4 months. So now, apparently, they really did find something. So as they go deep into the ground, they pull out a Jeep. So it looks like this, or maybe it's just an old school car. I don't know cars. So they pull out this car out of the pits, and the car is still intact. Now, mind you, the car was buried underground, very far underground. They pull the car out of the pits, and then they open the car door. Well, the car doors open up, and you see nothing but skeletons. It's skeletons all through the car. And it's like, oh, we're getting close. And that was the end of that episode. Now, episode 2 to me was pretty cool, pretty dope. The first time watching it, I felt like the Ronnie thing threw me off. That was crazy. What happened with Lily, I was like, okay, pickles, really? I rewatched it, and I was like, when I wasn't so tired, and I was like, oh, this was crazy. They did that little girl filthy. I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5 because I still didn't see the clown, but we are getting closer. But yes, it was a cool episode, great episode. I'm loving the show so far. I'm loving everything about it. It does feel like we're getting where we're going pretty quickly. We don't like Margie on this side. Shout out to Rich. I heard the writers told us he's Cuban, so we got a Cuban boy there. Shout out to him. We got our boy Will. Shout out to Will. I want to see Will make it. I want to see Ronnie make it. Lily, I want to see you make it, baby. But you got some making up to do for what you did. All right. But either way, man, that was the episode. It was a great time. Shout out to them for dropping it on Halloween, and we get another one on Sunday. So this episode was great. I do want to see more Pennywise. I do want to see more. But I felt that way about the movie back in the day. So I felt that way reading the book. I'm always gonna feel that way about this series. So please don't listen to me when I'm saying it because it's just my nature to always want to see Pennywise. So hopefully y'all enjoyed it. Hopefully y'all enjoyed this review. And we got many more to come. You'll get another one Monday right after the next drop on Sunday. Y'all